Welcome to the Top 200 podcast with your host, Herschel Foreign.
What's up, everybody? This is Herschel from High School Top 200, and this is the Monday morning meeting podcast. Throughout this podcast, you'll probably hear my family in the background or yelling. Everybody's awake right now, so you'll probably hear everybody's conversations and yelling and arguing in the background, but that's just what you have to work with. This is probably the first time that I've not gone to a game on Saturday since I've started. I had two sick daughters, just like a bunch of everybody else out there. Everyone's got sicknesses going around. But I had two sick daughters, and it was raining so hard out I couldn't take them with me. They would have got worse. And so I watched all the games from home. I wasn't able to attend any kind of game. Lucky I went to a game this week as well, because then it would have been the first time in a week, like first time ever that in that week I wouldn't have went to a game. But yeah, everybody, please take care of yourselves. Take care of yourselves. I think that's what's more important first, because it's about your health and those that are around you as well, and hopefully that no one else gets worse, and that you're not the one that passes on, because guiltiness is a heavy weight. And so I think one of the bigger matchups from this past weekend was Fielding and St. John's. The game that's been postponed, I don't know when it's going to happen, but that was a game that got postponed, and that was due to sickness. I think St. John's had 9 starters out with sickness, and Fielding has just coming back, had boys just come back from being sick, and so they're still wasted and lethargic and all that kind of stuff too. So it was pretty much a pretty good compromise for both of them. I mean, I think Fielding could have just said, "No, we're going to play, bring whatever team down." But I think they know what the stakes are. Being both top 5 teams, both of them top 5 teams in the country, they know what this means. I think they know what a win and a loss means, and a proper one too. Because I actually don't think that both teams and both coaching staffs don't want a watered down version of what team they're going to be playing, because I still have this feeling that both of these teams are not going to lose to anybody else in this competition. I think that they've actually pitched a pretty far wedge between St. John's, Hamilton and Fielding and everybody else. If someone beats them, like, kudos to you fellas, because to me, I just don't see it. Most teams are young. Most teams have not, recruited well, because that's obviously what this is. A lot of the time is recruitment, especially for those private schools. It's not easy to go into a private school that costs $20,000 to go to. Like, it's hard. But I mean, you only pick up special kids from like those kind of ones that actually pay full fees. You get all these boys who work so hard. They're not on scholarship. They just go to the school, and I give it up to them for how much effort that they've really put into their training to try and get to that level, and a lot of them do, which is great. Like, I love that kind of thing too. But that is the nature of the CNI competition, with private schools being a part of this, is the same thing. But St. John's and Fielding are just a bit too far, I think, from talent level, from the growth and the building of both of these squads too. Like, it's not just a normal thing that these two squads have been put together. They've actually built a lot of the guys from in their school to be what they are right now, and they're just built from the bottom. And yeah, there's been additions to the school, and it's not a secret, but for the most part, that's what it is. And so I think both of these schools actually want to put out their best team when it comes to those two teams getting together, because I know that once they get to the finals, you want to know what you're playing. You really want to know. Like, you can see the videotape and all that kind of stuff, and that's fine. But once you're at the game and standing on the sideline, and you hear what's going on, you hear how much effect one guy has from one to the next, and you see them, work through their moves and through their motions, and you hear their calls and things like that. It just adds that different thing to when, to just seeing them on tape. So that was one of the big ones that I thought was missing from this week. But I went out to Tauranga. I went out to Tauranga and watched the number one team in the country, Rotorua Boys, play Tauranga, which is I think their rival. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say though, because I kind of feel like Hamilton's more of a rival to Rotorua than Tauranga is. I know that they're in the same, they're in the same region, but somehow I feel like Rotorua getting the Hamilton scalp is a lot more of a bigger deal. Yeah, I think it's big, and that's just what I think, and that's just the feeling that I get. But I even talked about this before, about this last week, and how this could be Rotorua's first loss, and it almost was. And it came right down to the wire. And I think everyone dealt with the same problems because it's such a messy day, such a messy week anyway, that everyone had to deal with that mud and that slush. And I think those that have taken care of their fields and that have made sure that even on wet, rainy days that you still don't have a flippin' mud bath going on when you're trying to play the game. Those teams are the ones that kind of benefited. Like for instance, Palmy's game was terrible. That field it looks so rubbish when it rains and it puddles like that. And speaking to other guys that are ex-players from Palmy, they said that wasn't even bad. That wasn't even the worst that we've seen it, which is kind of hard to believe. But it was like, okay. Nelson's another one. I was talking to another guy who's from there too, and Nelson's got a terrible field when that one rains. Francis Douglas was pretty good. Like I actually felt that field held up really well. Even the New Plymouth one, when Hamilton Boys played there, I thought those grounds all kind of held up really well. Obviously St. Ken's campground was all good. I don't think it was as rainy as the rest of the country, but in their game it looked like it was all good. Even Napier was the same too. But I mean, going back to the Rotorua Boys game and how I think how fair it was. I think how balanced that game was from both teams. And Ruben Palmer did such a good job as a captain in that game for Tauranga Boys. And I was actually really proud of the effort that he put into it. Leading from the front, making some massive hits. And just grinding it out with the boys as well. I thought he did a solid job for his side, and again, like almost getting that win too. Obviously there was a lot of kicking game, and Maloney was just too good as well from fullback for Rotorua Boys. He was just too good, and he was just so calm and balanced in the way that he was playing each possession for such a rainy day. He did awesome. I thought he was awesome in that game, and so even with the conditions, I thought both teams did pretty well in terms of holding the ball and protecting it as well. But there were a lot of big clashes in that game too. Even though the two front rows were like really excellent on that in that game, and I really felt that. You did kind of get that feel that there was a comeback and that there was going to be another win in Tauranga, and honestly it came right down to the last seconds, last kick, and ta-da, Rotorua just won. They just fought it out. Tauranga missed the kick, all that kind of stuff, but it was such a good game to watch. And if you haven't seen it, go onto Māori TV on YouTube, like Māori Active, I think that it's called, for Māori television, doing such a good job. And even the commentary and stuff like that, I like that the commentary thing is going on. And one thing that they did in the Tauranga game and Rotorua game is that they had a student and a teacher doing it in Te Reo, and we're doing, back and forth. But I thought it was so good, and I think if Māori television did that and got got a student, at least one of them be a student, and just to give them that experience, like some of these kids, they want to be commentators, they want to be part of that media side of it. Just let them do it. Just let them, have a try and sort of help them out and pique their interest in something that they might want to do when they get older. But Māori television is doing great with their thing in every single game, and this is what I've noticed about Māori television. In every single game that they've done, they've learned from what mistakes that they had. The internet connections are doing better. The way that they've produced it and what they have out there in terms of sound and all that kind of stuff too is great too. Like Māori television is doing mean on that. So they've got all the Super 8 games this year. It seems like they've got all the Super 8 games, which is live on YouTube, the live streaming and everything. So jump on there whenever you want to go and watch the games, especially because the Super 8's the strongest competition that we have right now. And we get it all for free. It's such a blessing that we have it all for free by Māori television and what they've, I guess, decided to do. They just decided to do. They have major sponsors, which is really great too. And the other thing is that I hope schools appreciate the help that Māori television is doing, and hopefully Māori television actually goes and does all the games in terms of the Super 8 exchanges, because just to promote Super 8 schools, I think a lot of kids will want to go there once they see that they have those kind of opportunities to be able to be filmed and be on YouTube for Māori television. Watching that game against Hamilton boys and New Plymouth boys, such a wet game, and it was. Sam did great. Vakadula. Oh wait, I think I'm saying his name wrong. But Sam did great anyway. Scoring those 2 tries. And I don't think it's just like the 2 tries. I think it's more about, how he did it was what I thought was like special about it, because when you kind of look at it, like his first one was just from a normal kind of ruck, and what he did was that he was just there on guard, saw that no one was behind the ruck, and then he just grabbed the ball and then took off, and then he scored his first try like that. The second one, he came off a cut, and then he was like right in the out in the open. I think it came from Callum Tito, gave him the ball, and he just ran and sort of just swerved his way through. And that whole game, he pressed that line every single time and made them and forced them to work on their defense and force them to tackle. And it's one of those things with Hamilton boys and trying to beat Hamilton boys. I feel like it's more targeting. I think you have to target just one target, and would target a certain position or a certain kid or a certain side, and just work that same thing and just keep working it. And then if your fitness and I guess your fitness is up to it, your speed of the game is up to it, and you make obviously less mistakes, it's going to break open. But you have to go through that rigorous, I guess, task of trying to target one area, and that's what I think Sam did. Samuela went through and just targeted that. It's funny too because he targeted Aki and Kalis in that middle, and he just kept going and going and going, and then it just came out, and he was able to score that try. In terms of the whole game, though, Hamilton boys, you could feel that they had that control over the whole game. And maybe New Plymouth was a bit lucky that it was raining and that it was that wet and sloppy, because the breaks that Hamilton boys were making in most games, that's a try. And Hamilton had to deal with cutting on those little mistakes of just dropping the balls. Like, their ball security wasn't the greatest, and things like that. But I think you guys saw I posted up that chase down by Peyton Spencer, and it was just one of those ones where you can kind of tell what Hamilton boys is like when you saw that when the intercept came, and I think it was Liam Day or was it Oliver Cole, I can't remember who it was, but when they got that intercept and then they just took off, everybody from Hamilton boys turned around and chased. And that is the difference between Hamilton boys and everybody else. Because let's say he didn't tackle him out. There was no one from New Plymouth boys there. And it was like 7 Hamilton boys guys before the first New Plymouth boys guy came. And that's not just like a New Plymouth boys thing. That's a everybody thing. And when you play Hamilton boys, that's the way that you play. If someone's got a runaway, everyone's going to chase until that try is actually scored.
Quick hands here is needed. Another intercept. Has he got the legs to get all the way? Defence is coming across quickly at him. What a good tackle. Superb tackle. That would have been, I believe that would have been Peyton Spencer, who came flying across, used all of his speed, and got a good defence coming up at them, though they couldn't get through that strong defence. But now they've gone through, they found a gap, and yes, a great try under the post there. There was a gap close in behind the back of that ruck, and the Hamilton defence just wasn't there. Plymouth being shunted back, but now they're coming to the open side. Good busting run through the middle there. That is good to see New Plymouth getting some points on the board. They just...
And that's just the way that they play. And that's what's pushed and forced through these boys as they go along, is that like the play's not dead. We're not stopping until it's actually finished. That's why sometimes I looked at it as a bit over the board and over the top, because like when there's a knock on and it's an obvious knock on, they don't stop. They just keep going until the whistle blows the ref. So like if you're a ref out there and you're going to ref a Hamilton boys game, if you're going to blow the ref and blow the whistle and you're just taking your time because you think that everyone's going to stop, Hamilton boys is not going to stop, and then you're going to get fights. Because that's just how Hamilton boys plays. They just keep going and going and going because they know that Nigel and Greg are going to be on the side going, hey, he hasn't blown the whistle, you just keep going. And that's just kind of how Hamilton is. And if you can keep up with that standard of play and that attitude of playing, then your games against Hamilton boys are going to be easier. Because they don't go 90%. They don't go 80%. They just go 100% the whole time, or else you get subbed off. Like, and it doesn't even matter if you're the best player. They just sub you off. Nigel and Greg don't care about that kind of stuff. They care more about your effort. They care more about your attitude. They care about that kind of stuff. And that's kind of how it was. And when you watch the clip again, is that he takes off, Peyton chases, then you see, I think it's Aki, Kalis, Brody might be the other one, and then 2 or 3 other people, and then you see the first New Plymouth boys guy show up. And that's just how they go. But I mean, I thought that was such a good game as well in terms of the way that New Plymouth played it, and then they kept themselves interested and kept themselves going. Of course, there were moments of, I guess, lack of focus, but that's like a wind and rain thing, and just conditions are just terrible for everyone on that day. I mean, even when you look at Francis Douglas, that game against St. Peter's, Francis Douglas probably should have won that game. They had it right there, and I'm not trying to get on you guys. I'm not trying to, get at you or anything, because I think that you guys already know throughout this week, and you've probably been beating yourselves up. But I think you guys had it, and Cody Vai was honestly the game changer in that game. Like that one where you guys had them, you were just about to score a try. I think there was like a little knock on, or they stole it. And then it ended up in Cody's hands in the in goal, and he ran almost all the way down the field for a try. And he just turned things around just like that. Kind of like how the Crusaders and Chiefs was, which hurt my heart, and I'm still gutted about it today. Like this morning, I'm still hurting from that moment too. But it was the same thing with Francis Douglas, where Francis Douglas was just pushing, push, and then all of a sudden Cody gets the ball, and he just takes off, and then you're all the way down there on your line trying to defend. I think Dylan Etty was another one in that second half who had a good second half, and this is kind of the player that I've been waiting for in Dylan, in terms of his ability to fight. Every time he runs that ball, they're just high aggression, not like violence, but like high aggression, like being able to be not stop, not to think that you've stopped. Just because two guys are hanging off you, it doesn't mean you fall to the ground. And sometimes I didn't really see that from him in the first games that I've seen, but in the second half of that Francis Douglas game was that guy that I've kind of been waiting to see if he turns into. And it really was just so good to watch him, sort of come out of his shell a bit and sort of play that way, because he made a massive difference when it came to, I guess, fighting for that extra ground. I guess getting getting over the advantage line. Bending back that defense, and then making Francis Douglas work to stop momentum instead of St. Peter's doing it themselves, which is kind of what I've been watching them do a little bit now. And it just doesn't have the same feel as what St. Peter's Rugby is, or has been in the last 5 years or 6 years or so. But they are getting there, which is like really positive to see, is that they are getting there. They had a few guys out too, which everyone basically did as well. But it seems like a positive. Francis Douglas was the same. The number 5, and I can't remember what his name was. Lost my mind, but he's been playing great for the past 3 games that I've seen him in. And he's always been in there, and just makes a difference every time he's in or around the ball. Even his lineouts are just like massive. Like I think he's one of the better locks in the CNI right now, and maybe even within the Chiefs region. And he's probably sitting behind the boys from Manurewa, but he's right up there as well. And that game was actually a really good game to watch. I actually enjoyed what Francis Douglas was able to do. And hopefully those two teams, both of the teams actually, because they've been really good teams. Francis Douglas had a bad year last year. Understandable too. Like the rebuild didn't go as they planned, or wasn't really didn't look like a genuine focus for them as it was last year. But all those boys that have returned from last year, you can really see how much it's helped them. So hopefully that stuff carries on with those boys who are in the year 12 and now coming back again. Like I said before, the Hastings and Palmy game was such an ugly game to watch. No one was a standout, I guess. Maybe Sam Cole, maybe A1. Little Fee, probably. Victor was really good. But I don't know, it was just an ugly game, it was hard to, Eli Odenryan, he was good. His battle against A1 was really good at both hooker positions, but it was hard to really see, any kind of clear standout of Tully, I thought played a good game at second five, or whoever that was at second five. Sometimes you couldn't tell because of the mud on everybody's faces. Some guys were getting up, then they were having water breaks, not to drink water, but to wash the water out of their eyes. There were so many guys walking up like this, going, water, because you just couldn't help it. It was just everywhere. But that was probably one of the big upsets that was probably the biggest upset of the week. Maybe. Because I also said that Town and St. Brendan's was going to be a pretty close one, and it was, and just the way that they played exactly how I thought they were going to play St. Bernard's, and they were right there. I think those other guys have to be careful. I think Silverstream have to be careful. I think Scots have to be careful. Wellington has to be careful. Because if they play these guys, and then St. Bernard should take away a lot of confidence from this game. They should take away a lot of experience from what happened, and at least know exactly that, hey, we're up with these guys. They struggled against us. They had to attack with us. They had to play the way that we played too, and it was just one of those kind of things. So St. Bernard's could finish top 4. I honestly think so. I honestly think that they can. It doesn't mean that just because they lost to Town that they don't have another chance, because they always do. And Stream, Wellington College and Scots are their times to pick off 2 of those. Try and pick off 2 of those. And that's just their focus. Take care of the games that you know that you can win. Use those opportunities to work on your guys' game and all that kind of stuff, and get your rhythm and get your systems right. Get your get your form going, and work on your confidence, so that when you play these other games, you know exactly how you're going into these games, and there's no reason why you can't win against Stream or Wellington College or Scots. Pick 2 and just go at them hard, and I think that's where I think that they can actually change the dynamic of how that competition is going to look if they end up being in 3rd or 4th place. Because if they get to the 3rd or 4th place, they do have a chance to win it. I honestly believe that they do have a chance to win that competition if St. Brendan's get to that semi-finals. When I was watching the St. Kennigan's game and King's College, it really was an angry game. Like a lot of those boys are just angry playing. They're just angry playing. It's like I know tradition gets a part of it, but it's like 2 rich kids were just fighting, and then they had their Islander mates jump in for them. That's kind of how it felt, kind of how it looked when I was watching it too. And the game was so good, so back and forth. St. Ken's had 3 yellow cards, I think it was. And King's were rattled for a bit, and Kings scored right at the end, and then Francis kicked it over, and Francis is still like. I know that they were trying to get into his head, calling him overrated, but it's like it's so far from the truth. It's so far from the truth. Like Francis is if not the best, one of the best in the country, depending on who you want to talk to, because people are going to say, people are going to watch the Super 8 and see every single Hamilton Boys game and look at Peyton and go, I think that guy might be the best. Or even look at Aki and go, I don't know, Aki might be there too. They might watch St. Thomas and look at Richie and go, well, Richie's going to be like, he's probably the best. And see Gus Brown and go, he's probably the best. And there's all these guys that are all at that level, but to call, it's funny that just that their chant of overrated. It just didn't help. It didn't help them either. And sometimes like you're gonna make the wrong comment to the wrong player. Happens all the time in the NBA. It's like you start cheering against one guy and calling him names, and they're just like, I think you guys are sparking up the wrong energy in that guy. Because most of those guys that are in that kind of position, they're just like, oh, you think I'm overrated? It's like, okay then. And then they end up scoring tries or making big plays, and then, that kind of thing. And that's kind of what happened in the game against Kings. Because St. Kilda should have won that game. Without those 3 yellow cards, they probably would have won that game. But giving Kings the opportunity to keep fighting, to keep in touch with it, it's like, yeah, Francis just took it, and, he did his thing. Jarius was another one. Callum was another one. Like, all these guys, Scott, what's his name? Like, there were heaps of guys in that team and that Kings side that stood up to make sure that they were in contention to win that game and to try and capitalize off those 3 yellow cards that they got. And I mean, when you have someone like Xavier go off, which was a hard one. I don't know if that one was good. I thought the Ezekiel Kolo and him getting sent off was silly on both. Like, Ezekiel shouldn't did what he did, but at the same time, it's just like, I don't think that was yellow card, a reward for a yellow card. It's like, cut it out, mate. But yeah, that game as a whole was kind of scrappy. It was really was scrappy. It's funny to see what the end of this competition is going to be like. I still have a few more games to watch. Obviously, my team of the week will come out, and I will make sure that I watch everybody as much as I can. I think I've got 15 games this week to watch, and I've already watched 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11. I've watched 11, so I've got 4 more games to watch. But we need some games from the South Island. We need some games, not just from the South Island, no, because CNI is really good like that. We need games from the Highlanders region. I want to watch South Otago High School. I want to watch Dunstan High School. I want to watch Waitaki. I want to watch Southland Boys. I want to watch, I want to watch Joel McGlashan. I want to watch Kings High School. I want to watch all those guys. Give me Wakatupu. I want to watch them too, every single week. But I don't know what it is with you guys down there, man. Some of you guys don't even film your own games for yourselves. Parents tell me this too. I ask parents all the time. I was like, do you have a copy you can send me? They don't even record their games. Like, if you guys are not recording your games to help you guys out as a team to be able to win the Nationals, which is the ultimate goal at the end of the day, is to win the Nationals. If it wasn't the ultimate goal, then you might as well just go, well, after we play our competition, we don't care about Nationals, you guys travel to it. No, because everyone wants to play to get up to Nationals. That's the ultimate goal, is to win Nationals. What they do, you win your own area. Like, even with the Super 8, it's like, who cares? Like, win the Super 8, cool, that's fine. But once you get into Nationals, like, yeah, be the best of everybody. But Highlanders Region don't even do that. They don't even film to promote schools, let alone promote players, but even to promote their own schools. They don't even do that. It's so bad. I would love to watch Otago boys play every single week. I would love to watch their games every single week. John McGlashan every single week. The fact that St. Kevin's and Waitaki boys, their blood match does not come on every single year annoys me, and I'd like to see it every single year. And big matches like that are the ones that the rest of the country all are wanting to start to see now. They want to start seeing that now. And the reason why is because people ask me, it's like, hey, have you seen this game? You ranked them this and you ranked them this and you talked about them last year and you had this and you talked about these guys, and I want to see what this player's like because we have this guy on our team. You're saying that he's better than our guy and he's from John McGlashan or he's from Otago or he's from Southland. It's like, we want to actually see if he is better. Those are conversations. Those are conversations that I'm getting from people. Because they look at my rankings and go, hey, you're saying he's better than our guy? It's like, I don't think so. He must be pretty good. Do you have a game? It's like, I don't. I can't even direct you to someone that has a game because the Highlanders Region don't record their games. And they don't give it out. Strange. How do you expect people to want to go to your region or to go to your school or to go to those programs if they can't even see who you guys are? Like the ultimate compliment you can get is kids from Auckland going, I want to go to Otago boys. I know they got dorms down there, I just like their rugby program. They don't have many Islanders down there like they do up here in Auckland. What if I go down there? I have an uncle who's down there, my cousin lives down there, my cousin plays down in, in Invercargill. I want to go to Southland, I'll just go stay with him or go to their dorms. Like, that's what you want and that's how you promote it. But why don't you guys promote them? Why do you guys not promote your schools? I don't understand. I really don't. I don't see how you guys have such good schools, interesting schools that I'd like to watch. And you got big schools like John McGlashan. Well, big schools in terms of rugby in your region, John McGlashan. Like, it's not a big school number-wise or anything like that, but Southland boys, Otago boys, Kings High School. Southland boys and Otago boys, if you created rugby scholarships purely just for Aucklanders, a bunch of Aucklanders would come down and they would try and get those scholarships. And to recruit kids outside of Auckland for scholarships is a great accomplishment, and just one of those things, just like, yeah, they would rather come to Otago boys than stay at their Auckland school. They want to come play rugby down here, they want to come down here and eventually study. That's the best thing about Otago, is just like, get all these boys to go down there, stay down there and study and become part of Otago's and Dunedin, that lifestyle. Have them move down to Invercargill, play for Southland, come through the Southland academy, and join into the Highlanders. But you can't do that kind of stuff if you're not promoting. If you're not promoting your schools and your programs, and they have good programs down there. I love the Otago boys and what they've done since I've started high school top to 100. Even with Southland, I had to learn a lot about them. I used to serve my mission down in Invercargill, hated it there, but I didn't know about the rugby there. I wasn't there for that. But if I had gone to Southland boys, I remember riding my bike past it. Yeah, I used to fit on a bike. Riding my bike past it with my companion and going, oh shoot, this is Southland boys. Not going to any games or rugby because I wasn't there for that, but if you promoted your guys South as a rugby program like you guys are, and offered scholarships like that to people who are up in Auckland, or even in like the rural parts of like Waikato and stuff, where all these hidden players are. We got heaps of hidden players. Just going to the Thames Valley games, I've seen so many hidden players where I go, oh, that kid there, he can go into that team. This kid here, he can last there. This kid over here, he lasts over here. I was like, I've seen heaps of kids like that. I've seen heaps of kids from like the Dannevirke, Manawatu area and the Whanganui area, and going, oh, that kid can definitely play over here. They just haven't seen it. oh, this kid from Whitehall, he definitely doesn't belong there, and he could come out and play for one of these. That's why a lot of those guys from Whitehall, they go to the Napier Boys or go to Hastings there, because there's so much talent in places like that, so much talent down there, and places in Southland and Otago and Dunedin, and we just don't get to see them. We just don't get to see the talent from Queenstown. Like, let us see their talent, man. I don't get it. Tyree College is doing really good this year and what they've been able to build, and I hope that Tyree College keeps building what they've got there, because they have some amazing talent that's there. They just need the game, they need the exposure, they need to be able to see that people want to see them and want to see their colleges play. I still want to see, I want to build up, I wish that there was a country school competition from all over the country. It's not like financially able to do it, but it's a great idea. That's a great idea. Like, we don't know how many farmers, all these kids are farm kids. What if a whole bunch of farmers got together and funded it? We don't know the possibilities, but just to say no, it doesn't work is the worst thing, the worst attitude to come out with. It's just like, oh no, we can't be done. I was like, well, you don't know yet. People told me all the time that no one would follow this high school page. I got 21,000 subscribers. What are you talking about? Stop saying no to everything just because it's like, oh no, it's like people are just not going to think. No, harden up, man, and just fucking trust in yourself. Highlanders Region is kind of like that too. They're just like, for some reason, don't trust in themselves. If I was a Highlanders Region, I'll promote the hell out of Highlanders Rugby. Add the universities to it, add the free education down in Southland to it, add all these things that they can do, and then offer it to a bunch of Islanders up in Auckland that parents want them to move out and go, hey, go to university. Because parents in Auckland are now telling their kids, go to university, not go get a job, go to university. We now see the value in that. If Otago and Southland did the same thing, you get heaps of kids going down there. Take them in high school. Promote them in high school. Get them to stay down there. Get them to like it. There's a bunch of Auckland kids down there right now. AJ Faleafunga, who was like number one player last year, he's down in the Highlanders. He chose the Highlanders over the Blues. Why? Because he knows that there's more to it than just rugby. He's got the Otago University there. Wants to study. Heaps of these boys want to study. But promote your schools, promote your programs, get them down there before they finish high school. Establish them down there so that they're not so homesick when they do leave. Let them concentrate on rugby in school. It's one of those things. I don't know, man. Gets annoying after a while. Trying to chase up everybody in the Highlanders Region, I talk to people and I got my connections down there that I talk to, and I appreciate them and so grateful for their input and their opinions and the guidance that they give me all the time of players to look and watch for, because that's valuable to me, because I know that none of these kids get talked about. So I do my best to find out as much information as I can to get to talk about these kids who are down there in the deep south. In terms of games, man, put it out on your own school production. Make that part of the pitch to all your guys' sponsors, that you guys will film every game, put their logos on your games, and have it run the whole time that your game is on. Pitch it like that. Get your media classes, all your media kids to jump in on it. Get them to film it, get them to edit it, get them to make highlight clips of all of your guys' stuff, and put all the companies that are sponsoring you for the year, make that part of the package, that you guys play it through your school pages and your sports pages and things like that, so that they get their money's worth and they know that it's going to be seen. I'm always going to share that stuff. If you guys make it and you send it to me, I'm going to put it out there on my platforms too. And we'll just put it out there so that you guys can get more recognized, and that's what I'm here for. But to just disregard all that kind of stuff and not use the talent that's at your school. And I'm not just talking rugby. I'm talking all about your sound and lighting guys, or your camera guys, or the guys that want to be part of media, or the guys that want to write articles and get them to edit all the movies, or all the video clips and all the highlights. There's a bunch of smart kids at your school. Utilize them. tell them what it's for. Tell them how they can benefit from this when they move into their next careers. Like those that want to study, journalists and being part of media coverage, let them put their credits on the videos that they make so that they can go to university and go, oh, I've also been part of my production at my school. It's got all my credits on there as well, and they can take it through and use that kind of stuff. Why don't schools ever think about this kind of stuff? Why don't you guys just do it? The other one that's doing really good right now is Christchurch Media, where they're doing their media stuff. I love looking at their stuff, and I try and share it around too. If they recorded all their games and did all their media stuff and all their commentary and all that kind of stuff, send it my way so I can share with everyone else. They're probably like the ones right now in terms of media who are doing great. Fielding High School's got one too, and I wish every other school would do something like that. I know Hamilton Boys have got a media one, their own media team as well, but they don't put that stuff out. They use it for other stuff that they have, and that's fine. But for me, I would love it for them to share with everybody so they can just see talent after talent after talent and just promote your school and your rugby program in that way. We've got a lot of big games coming up this week, a lot of big clashes, some big ones that I'll be writing about, talking about, and all that kind of stuff too. So let's hope this week is big. And any questions, theories, things like that. Like I heard Mags lost on Saturday against De La Salle, and Mags, I heard they had a bunch of year 11s playing against De La Salle, and they lost, obviously, because De La Salle was a friggin' wrecking ball of a school, and they just come heavy with the physicality. And to have year 11s play against a school like De La Salle, who was just physical from minute 1 right to minute 70, is that you're not going to last with a bunch of year 11s on that side. And even if you do end up winning that game, those guys are going to be flipping hurt for days. And Mags got that message pretty clear, and I do not know what's going on, but Mags shouldn't have lost that game. And they should have been second on that list. I think the 3rd or 4th, maybe. But they should be second to St. Peter's. But whatever decision that was, and the reason why they did that, I don't know why. Because Mags have such a good school, they should just play their top side and won the game against De La Salle. I don't know why you'll do that, but whatever it is, I mean, like if the idea was to lose, you accomplish that. But if it was thinking that it was going to be anything different, they didn't achieve anything by doing that. I mean, Mags put themselves in a terrible position. I don't know why, but that's just what they did. But anyways, bunch of good games coming up next week. Send me all your questions, all your ideas, your theories, all that kind of stuff. What you think will happen, what you think's coming up, and who's going to take away these different competitions, and leading up into also rep season soon and the holidays. And so, that's me, Herschel Fruin, High School Top 200 Leaderboard.